Great. Well, welcome everyone to the Dual Credit Community of Practice. We are kind of new to this. We said that last time when we had our kickoff. We hope that we are able to generate some rich discussion today about the manufacturing pathway. But before we go down that road, I wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping in the very beginning. You all should have received a message from me on September 28th. And I sent it at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it had some really specific information about the community of practice specifically, and also about grant logistics, because we know that there are people on the call here today who are grantees for the dual credit expansion grant, but there's also a lot of other people who are working on dual credit in their district. They just didn't apply for the grant for whatever reason and are here to learn more. So we've got kind of two sort of related audiences here today. One of the things that I'll point out from that September 28th message is that you should have all received an invitation to the dual credit community of practice, a recurring invitation. The Teams link, the one you use today, is going to be the same for all of the future monthly meetings. And I don't know, Ajit, if you could throw in a link in the chat to the Trumba calendar event. And then that way people can use that as their sort of gateway into these community of practice meetings if you are are wondering where the link is. That is one place where it's posted for all to see. The other thing I wanted to point out around grant logistics specifically is I did say in that September message that the funds are available in EGMS. So your district is able to claim reimbursement for expenses incurred that are connected to this application. And I also mentioned that some districts are funded with ARP-ESSER funds and other districts are funded with ARPA funds. And that can be really confusing. They kind of have different rules and different timelines. But I did attach to that September message a listing of all the districts that were awarded funds and which pot of money your funds are coming from. And that's important because when your district is submitting for reimbursement, if ARP-ESSER is your funding source, there is no additional documentation that needs to be uploaded into the system. ARPA has more specific rules around reimbursement, where there needs to be some evidence of the funds having been expended. And I provided an example, a very simple example, and one that is completely acceptable in that September message for those districts that are funded with ARPA funds. There's sort of a printout from a local accounting system that's pretty common across districts. And our suggestion is to have whoever's submitting for reimbursement provide a screenshot similar to the one that I provided in my September message to you. My last point that I'll make, and this has come up in some exchanges today, even when people were asking about how they can get included in the ongoing messaging around dual credit. My suggestion to you, and I said this at our kickoff meeting too, is that if you are not designated as a post-secondary readiness lead, through the contacts manager application. So this is what we use to generate the find contacts report in EdSite. You need to be a post-secondary readiness lead to ensure that you are consistently going to be receiving the dual credit messages. I said at the last meeting that for a while, I'm going to continue to use the database I have for the grant in addition to the post-secondary readiness lead distribution list, but eventually I want to go towards the post-secondary readiness lead report through EdSite being the sole source of information when I send out messages, because that can always be updated. I'm not going into multiple Excels and seeing who's on my distribution list. That is the safest way to go. So I would say as soon as possible, ensure that you are a post-secondary readiness lead for your district. There are no limits on how many leads can be assigned in a district. You can assign as many as you need to, and that will help us to streamline the communication a bit. So I'll give you a couple more weeks to make sure that that transition happens, but then I would say in November, we're going to flip the switch and go just to post-secondary readiness leads through EdSite. Anything else you want to add to that as far as logistics go, Ajit? No. Okay. Then I think we can get started.
Great. Thanks, Renee, for handling all the logistics on this and supporting with the grant implementation. This is new, relatively new for us in terms of performance working with grants, so really appreciate your digging into this. All right, so today's focus is on a community of practice, and the topic we're focusing on today is manufacturing. And the reason we're focusing on manufacturing today is obviously because it's a high priority area for the state, but not only that, but many of the grantees, probably the most common area that was mentioned, the common pathway that was mentioned was manufacturing. So we figured instead of breaking up our large group into multiple groups based on subject area or pathway, we figured we'd keep ourselves as a large group, but focus each of our community of practice discussions on a particular pathway or topic. Even if your district is not focusing on manufacturing as a pathway, or if we end up doing healthcare at a future one, or any other topic that we might focus on, even if your district is not working on that area, we think it would be actually very helpful for more people to join that, because you can learn about what other districts are doing and what some of their successes are and what some of their challenges might be with that pathway, because who knows, maybe next year you're thinking about that particular pathway. The other thing I'll say is this is a community of practice. So what do I mean by that? We are a community here, and it is about our collective practice, perhaps more your practice, that you're doing at your local level, that we want to spur the discussion. So this meeting will go as long as you are engaged and sharing and bringing forward your ideas. We are here as conveners, and we're here to spark the discussion. So we have some questions, and we're going to engage in a little bit of activity, but we really need you to engage and participate and share what you're doing or what questions you might have. The way we will do this is we'll have a couple of interactive activities in a moment. We'll get you to respond to those questions, and then we'll really open it up to you to raise your hand. And because we are a large group here, we're going to use the raise hand feature, which you should see right on your menu there. You can raise your hand, and then we will basically promote you to be a presenter, and then you will be able to unmute, share your video, and then share, about your particular program, or raise a question that you might have for others on this chat. So feel free to use the chat liberally as you need to, but know that this is as robust as your interaction. So we really ask for your participation and your involvement. All right, I think enough preface here. Let's get started with the first activity. And I'm using something called Mentimeter. I think as educators, many of you are probably familiar with this tool. So I'm going to start with the first set of questions here. And to respond in Mentimeter, and you should see the first question on the screen. To respond to this, you can pull out your phones and go to menti.com and use that particular code that's on the screen, and then this question will show up, and then you'll be able to respond to that question. You could also go to this particular website in your computer itself. So it's up to you whether you want to go on your phone or your computer, but we'll leave that to you. So there we go. So we'll watch as responses come in. So we'll give a couple of minutes for folks to sign on and respond. All right. Looks like all our IHE partners are being tapped for this particular pathway. And we'll open it up for questions in just a moment. So I'm going to flip to the next question. Stay on that same web page, either on your phone or your computer. And when I flip to the next question on the screen, it should change on your device as well. So let's try that. So the next question I have is, what credential degree will students earn if they continue on the pathway at the IHE? Now, I imagine that they're not going to earn the full credential at your high school, but if they were to continue at the Institute of Higher Education, what will they earn? And I've given a few examples there. Maybe it's an associate's, maybe it's a certificate. And this is a text box, so you should be able to type your responses in there. And I think you're not limited to one, so you could do more. All right. Some of you in the planning phases, some associates, some CAD, and some certificates. OSHA 10. Electric boat. All right. Wow. This is fascinating. This is excellent. So I think I'm going to pause here and invite some of you to share your programs and particularly think about, what about the program is successful? What's working well so far, and what are you having challenges with? Remember, some of our higher ed partners, many of them are on this call as well. So as you raise questions, they might be able to step in and answer. So what I'm going to ask is, there were many of you who said you're working with CT State. For those of you who are working with CT State, would you like to raise your hand, and I can call on you and you'll be able to say a few words. All right. Renee, can I ask for your help to promote them to presenter?
Sure.
Okay. Great. Let's start with John. Go ahead, John.
Hi, Enfield participates in the College Connections program with CT State through ISNUNTUC, and I'm sure there's other districts on here who participate as well. So we're running 3 programs. We run the electronics control technology, machine technology, and welding technology. So we have introductory level courses at Enfield High. So we have a basic electricity electronics. We start teaching mechatronics in that course as well, and then kids are encouraged to go on to the electronics control technology program at ISNUNTUC. And then we have a manufacturing and welding technologies course at Enfield High. And then again, for College Connections, students who are juniors or seniors are going over to ISNUNTUC in the afternoons to take 2 credits for us, but up to 12 credits through ISNUNTUC of coursework towards a certificate or degree in manufacturing technologies.
Thank you, John. And so they earn basically a certificate at the end of it through ISNUNTUC?
So if they were to
could
continue,
lead to an associate's as well?
So it could be either. So they're getting credits towards either the certificate or associates. So students who are choosing to move on in the program or continue with it they've earned some credits in high school, and then they could go for a year or more, depending on whether they're looking to finish a certificate or they're planning for the associates.
And everyone's filling out their FAFSAs so they can avail of PACT as well.
Right.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Jamie?
Hello. In Bristol, we have 8 courses in our manufacturing program, and our CAD and solid modeling course is connected with Tungus Community College right now. And our students are able to get those credits, the 3 credits there. We also have embedded within our manufacturing program many engineering courses, and through Project Lead the Way, our students have the option of getting up to 6 credits in engineering through University of New Haven. And we're offering a credential in Mastercam for students. All of our instructors are trained to be instructors for Mastercam. And as long as students have taken 3 of our prerequisite courses, then they can leave with the free Mastercam credential. We are looking to bring in, and it's part of our grant, is to bring in CPT, Certified Production Technician. It is a nationally recognized industry certification. And I'm looking for a college to articulate with us on that. I believe CCSU may have had discussions around that when I spoke to the rep, but I'm still looking for a higher ed connection along with that. So if there is somebody on that can support me with that, I would love to hear from you.
Matchmaking is now part of our job description, Jamie, so thank
you.
Yeah. Paul, I think, Paul, you're from Seymour, right, Paul?
Correct, yes, from Seymour.
Yes.
So we've been working for the last couple of years with Housatonic Community College, and we've been able to articulate the first 4, well, this will be our 4th course going next year with this grant for their CNC manufacturing certificate. So we have our blueprint reading, which we incorporated basically into what was currently our CAD 1 course. It's a pretty big unit in there. Our SolidWorks, which is also a CAD course, our bench work, which we started last year. And then I'm hoping to move forward next year as part of this grant and also part of the supplemental Perkins grant. We're in the process of purchasing a defunct machine shop to put in machine technology, which is basically all of the stuff leading up to CNC. The other thing that's going pretty well with us is about 4 or 5 years ago, I established a really good relationship with the Workplace, which is our local workforce investment board. And I don't know of too many other places that are working with them as much as I am in our surrounding areas. But what they were able to do is, as we've been building these courses, they were able to find funding and actually hire the lead teacher at Emmett O'Brien, which is close to us, as well as their guidance counselor there to teach some of the machine technology stuff. So that kind of supercharged the program, and they were opening up, we usually get 8 to 10 of our kids that go there after school, and then they help them also get jobs. They help them with interviewing experience. So that's going really well. And we've had pretty good success with kids choosing to go immediately either into the workplace or to attend Housatonic thereafter to get their CNC manufacturing. The kind of the biggest roadblocks really is finances, and that's why these grants are brilliant in that respect. But in the manufacturing industry, there's nothing that's cheap, and that's a real roadblock. So for us, I'm thinking the next course that we have, the machine technology, is probably going to be our terminating course. Just because of the finances. Once you start getting into the CNC machines, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars easily. For us, as being a smaller school of 600 students, I think this is a really good segue, and our kids will be able to come out being employable immediately if they so choose, or they can continue their education thereafter.
And so that person who supercharged your program, that person was a WIB person, basically, from Workplace? but located at Emmett O'Brien?
So the workplace actually had some federal funding that they used in order to provide after school manufacturing technology education. So then I was talking with them and they were able to use federal funding again to hire the Emmett O'Brien teacher after school to teach our kids as well as a couple of kids from Ansonia at that program. So it was no cost to us and no cost to our kids, other than my kids had to be able to provide their own transportation up to Emmett O'Brien from Seymour after school a couple times a week. You know, but they were doing roughly 100 to 120 hours. And then we worked out, you know, providing them with some credit back here in Seymour because it's part of the mastery-based learning, you know, and they have a certified teacher that's teaching them. So it's kind of a win-win for our kids in that aspect too, because we weren't able to provide some of that machine technology because we didn't have the machines, and we were getting them skills that they needed, and then, you know, giving them the credit back here in Seymour to do that. But we're slowly building again our capacity via grants and purchasing machines, and this grant is certainly helpful in that respect.
Glad we can be of help. Todd? Todd, you should be able to unmute and also share your screen, share your video if you'd like. There you go.
Great, thank you. I'm not as familiar with Microsoft. So at Avon, we have a long-standing business partnership with Tonksys, and now we're moving into the manufacturing engineering pathway. We submitted a dual enrollment grant, and we're moving forward with that. It's going to be articulated through a number of courses leading up through the manufacturing course, starting with the engineering, both 1 and 2, and then going through manufacturing. So it should be a full pathway for students that are looking to gain skills in the engineering area. I'm really excited for that next step.
Great, thanks. And I know, Beth, you're up next. I just wanted to invite others too. I mean, I initially started off with CT State, but obviously Goodwin, there are many of you that work with Goodwin and the eCamp, I think it's eCamp program. So you, and of course, there's some of you that are working with UB, UNH, and I was curious to see the other bar have a big chunk here. So I'm not sure who you're working with, and you can either put that in the chat or you know, get on and share too. So Beth, please go ahead.
Hey, everybody. So at Manchester High School, we have a strong partnership with Manchester Community College, and we've articulated in the last few years CAD, SolidWorks, blueprint reading, and manufacturing process lab. We also experimented with the College Connections and had a cohort of students going to MCC as well. But right now, the courses that we're teaching, you know, we have an approved teacher as an adjunct. We also have a pre-apprenticeship program where students can earn a tool and use certificate and an OSHA 10 certificate. And if students have completed the you know, application to MCC and they've earned an OSHA 10, MCC will also give a credit for that as well. So our biggest barrier, honestly, is just, you know, trying to drum up more interest and enrollment in the courses. And then once students are ready to be placed in their pre-apprenticeship course, you know, as maybe a culminating type of course experience, you know, finding those paid placements for, you know, we have the state approved program where, you know, we have 72 hours of paid, you know, time. Those placements are something that we're working on right now. I'd be really interested in learning more about the CPT certification that Bristol is doing. We've talked with MCC as well about doing something with manufacturing math. We also have a lot of students interested in welding, you know, and we've articulated a few courses with CCSU for our education pathway, but if there's a contact there who'd help us out with something in engineering, I think that would be a great addition to our current menu of options.
Yeah, thank you. And so I appreciate, Beth, you reaching out to your colleagues too on this call with some questions. So feel free to put a response in the chat, or, you know, obviously you can connect afterwards as well. But that's great. Thanks, Beth. Let's see, others, Pete, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Pete Civitello, Meriden Public Schools. So we're excited about the dual grant opportunity here. We've previously had a partnership with Goodwin Manufacturing. We're excited to extend in that partway. I thought I saw Keith Sibigny in here, who we've been doing a lot of work, and Dr. Sal Menzo. So what we're looking forward to is developing our pathway further. Ultimately, in the end, we're looking for students to be able to get a certificate from the Office of Apprenticeship at DOL. We currently offer the BM 100 Introduction to Manufacturing class, but we're in the planning stages with Goodwin, where we'll be looking to plan out offering a 140, a 210, a 222, a 224, increasing our numbers and increasing the ability for our students to receive that certification. A lot of it right now is, as you can imagine, is in the planning stage as far as around curriculum and what our teachers' schedule look like, which is probably one of the things we have to go back and look at the most is curriculum planning and setting up the pathway and what year we're going to offer what classes. But we're just looking to build on that partnership that we already have established with Goodwin, and it's an interesting area for us to build as we start. In Meriden Public Schools, we do have a major initiative on career pathways and career advancement. So this fits in nicely with what we're working on already.
Appreciate that, Pete. And I know Keith, you're on as well. And so please feel free to share as well. Great. Nice to see you.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate the time. Pete, thank you very much for the kind words. We're really proud to partner with you in this initiative. I'd love to sort of paint a picture for the team here. Some of the larger work that we're doing as it relates to dual credit in the world of manufacturing. So largely what we're doing in the space with other school districts is sort of an outgrowth of our own internal system that we've developed. So Ajit had alluded to earlier something called eCamp, so the Early College Advanced Manufacturing Program. We actually have two separate sort of distinct programs that sort of achieve the same end by the time students leave us. So obviously folks here are very familiar with the concept of magnet schools and regional school choice. So any student that's sort of going to school in the Sheff versus O'Neill region, they can opt into one of our two programs that we offer. So one of them is the Connecticut River Academy. It's a full-day high school program where students would come to us in the morning. They would hop on transportation from the sending district. They would attend school with us all 4 years of high school. They would take all of their gen eds with us, and the manufacturing program in that case, it sort of rolls out over the course of 3 academic years. So essentially, when kids join us at high school, they spend freshman year doing some career exploration, trying to decide, of the pathways available to me, which one do I want to select? Should they select manufacturing? And I'll drop the link to the larger certificate program in the chat. They're actually able to take 7 college courses over the course of 3 years for a total of 21 college level credits in manufacturing. So starting sophomore year, as Pete referenced, they take the first class called BMN 100. It's Introduction to Manufacturing. It essentially sort of gives students a lay of the land. What is manufacturing? What various different sub-industries are out there? What are the skills that you might need to have to be successful in that industry? What jobs might you take? What governmental agencies might you interact with? That sort of thing. The second year in the pathway has more foundational skill work that we work on. We have a blueprint reading class called Technical Drawings and Specifications. And we've also got another foundational class called Applied Manufacturing Mathematics. The math class is 4 basic functions with decimals and fractions, metric systems of measurement, customary systems of measurement, some basic geometry, some basic trig. And on the back end, it's applied to learning how to calculate speeds and feeds on machines. The third year in the program is when they sort of get a little bit deeper in terms of the coursework. We offer a metrology and calibration class, use of precision measuring tools, dial calipers, micrometers, height gauges. We've heard loud and clear from industry, if kids can walk in the door having, proficiency with tools like that, they've got a home in quality assurance and they can get skilled up in other places as well. But then the last 3 courses that we offer internally, we offer a lean manufacturing class, and then we also offer sort of like 2 that kind of go hand in glove. We offer a Mastercam class and a CNC production class, so that kids are getting actual hands-on time with, Haas office mill, Haas office lathe, Haas mini mill, stuff that we've got in-house that they'd also sort of see out in industry. So for folks at CTRA, they take those as electives-based classes. And like I said, they roll out over the course of 3 years. We have a parallel structure to that. Like I said, that's called eCamp. For students that are interested in regional school choice, but maybe not necessarily wanting to leave their area high school for 4 years, they can actually opt into the system as part of a smaller half-day program as a senior in high school. And so what they would do in that event is they would sort of compartmentalize all of their graduation requirements for high school into either the morning or the afternoon, and then they would register with us through Risco, and then they could attend either our eCamp morning program or our eCamp afternoon program. Same 7 classes, same 21 credits.
Just broken out differently, sort of.
What's
Just
that?
broken out differently.
Yeah, broken out differently
thi-
for a different audience, for sure.
Yeah.
But then
Appreciate. Actually, let me just make sure I bring others into the discussion
sure.
too. There
Yeah,
are others waiting as well. So I appreciate your insights, Keith. I mean, obviously, don't go anywhere.
Yeah, no problem.
Hang on. And I invite other IHEs too. If you want to sort of speak from your perspective, feel free to jump on. Marco, I believe from Clinton. So please, I know you're working with Goodwin as well. And I know there were others who said another institution, and I'm not sure which other institution you're partnering with. So if there are others who are working with a different institution, we'd love to hear from you as well. So Marco, go ahead. You're not unmuted. You're on mute.
I apologize, a little rusty. So the story in Clinton is very similar to what we've heard about. One of the things that I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention is one of the concerns we have with our partnerships has to do with the credentialing. And so as our tech ed teachers get to the point where they're looking at retirement and looking on to the next chapter in their lives, as we're bringing on new faces, the ability to be credentialed at our local universities is going to become a little bit more challenging for us. So I'm not sure if there's anything happening in the certification department with credentialing folks that are already out in industry, or what the higher ed institutes are looking to do to help us be a little flexible in terms of the people that we move forward with.
And when you say certification, are you talking about the higher ed requirements, or are you talking about K-12 certification?
Actually, both, because so for example, so we currently have somebody who came out of retirement to head up our engineering and manufacturing pathway. After 2 years, he's no longer eligible to work with us. So finding applicants for these positions is extremely challenging, because anyone with the tech ed certification might be specializing in computer science or video production or other areas, but to find that niche, which is manufacturing and engineering, and then making sure that they have the credentials at the master's level to be considered adjunct by some of the our partnering universities, is going to become it's going to continue to be challenging, not only for the dual enrollment here in manufacturing, but all of the other pathways. As we it's going to be challenging to make sure that our certified teachers meet the requirements of the higher ed institutes.
And I think we've said this one before, Marco, is that if you approach the higher ed before, like 2 years ago, with the question of a particular staff member to get them credentialed at the IHE, I would say, and the answer was no, I would say ask again. Some of these things are evolving as IHEs find ways to work within their confines of accreditation and their rules to try and be more flexible. And we're hearing some more flexibility, so please do ask the question again. We'll bring this up with our certification partners in SDE as well to see if there's any other ways. And I know it comes down often to case-by-case basis on what that person has in terms of their education to get certified in our world.
Yeah, we're very excited to continue our partnership with Goodwin, as many of my colleagues in the other districts are. I'm just looking, in the out years of some of the things that might be problematic. So if we can address them early on, it will lead to continued success for all of us.
And Paul, please go ahead.
Which Paul?
Paul Pelletier,
Okay.
you had your hand up, so.
Yeah. So I'm from Middletown. We have an aerospace manufacturing program that we started 5 years ago. We have one course, which is our manufacturing courses are based on the Asnuntuck model. We have one course, aerospace design, which is kind of mirrors the Asnuntuck machine manufacturing program. We have another course, mechanical technology, where we're building an airplane, and we have drone and flight science, which is just like it sounds. It's a drone licensure program, and I was just listening to some of the other school systems, and I just, if this is of any value, if you're looking to get started in aerospace, one of the things that we've learned is that drone and flight science is a great way to do it, because the initial capital outlay is relatively small. Teachers can be trained in a couple of weeks. I see Barbara Hefner's on here from Meriden. We've done a lot of work with Meriden and some of their kids. Some of their kids have become FAA Part 107 certificated, as well as many of ours. And teachers can be certificated in a 60-hour course, and essentially taught the curriculum in another 20-hour course. So that's a great way to get started. Other than that, I graduated from the Asnuntuck program years ago, and I'm a big proponent of it. However, one of the things that I've learned in regards to machine technology is that the kids love what is flashy and glitzy and techy. And one of the things I heard of was some of the teachers talking about buying a machine shop. One of the things that we've learned is that the Haas CNC manufacturing company, they're very good with educational programs, and you can buy their desktop CNC. I want to say it's like $20,000. It has the same computer programming, the same data entry platform as our $30,000 CNC machine, and you can start that in a classroom. And so you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get started. And I'm certainly willing to help anybody that wants to get started. Some of the other things is that we've learned is that you want to make friends with as many people as you can. I think Barb Hefner from Meriden will attest to this. We're always looking to make friends with industry, with other school systems. The FAA, we have. We may be a little bit different in that Steve Sokolowski and myself, we've been flying for years, so we're very involved in the aviation community. So that certainly helps, but you folks may have other avenues that can bring those friends to you. But I think what I really wanted to say to everybody is that you don't have to start with hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you start with $20,000, you can get started in the drone program, and if you have $40,000, you can get started. You can have a very nice machine technology program. One other thing I heard manufacturing math. We haven't done that here, but I've been pushing it for years. There's a big problem with math in the state of Connecticut, and the manufacturing math is a real nice pre-algebra type program for students that might struggle elsewhere. And so I don't know. I
Paul,
thought maybe
there's a bunch of requests in the chat for your contact information.
Oh.
So please make sure you put your email in there.
Oh.
There are people who are looking to reach out to you after this. So please make sure you do that. And I think
where would I put that?
You can just put it in the chat.
In the chat? Okay.
Yeah. And I also have there are people who are seconding your point about the Haas desktop CNC machine. So, and I see Trudy from Southern has jumped in with the drone course offered through Southern as well. So the chat is buzzing.
Yeah. Be careful about that course from Southern. What we do is a very strict curriculum that comes from the FAA Part 107 drone licensure course, which teaches basic aerospace, and then the drone component. We've had the Middletown police officers and we've had the Middletown Fire Department study side by side with our kids, and we've had a very high pass rate with the adults, and of course the kids that want to participate, that are interested in that licensure, they've done very well as well. So, you know, if that helps.
Thanks, Paul. This is all super helpful. So yeah, appreciate your putting your contact and your cell phone in the chat. So really appreciate that as well. So thank you for that.
Can I just say one more thing, and that is that
sure.
Each summer we offer a 2-week drone course for the FAA Part 107. We've had some of Barbara Hefner kids from Meriden, and this year we're looking to do something a little bit different and have it be bigger, and maybe have some teachers, firemen, and police in there with the kids. So you know, just letting you know.
Seems like a field trip may be in order, Paul. We shall see.
Where do you want me to go?
I don't know. No. For us to come to you and take a look at some of your stuff. So, no, thank you so much for sharing. I know this is like 45 minutes in, and there's been a lot of discussion here. I'm just gonna put a couple more questions for us. So again, go to menti.com. It's a different code. It's not the same code. So you'll have to use a different code. And the question this time is, after the grant is fully implemented, how many courses in the pathway will be offered in high school? So get your responses in and wow. A lot of schools with 5 or more courses. And it seems like we're all in different stages of developing this pathway. So this is great. I have one more question in this. And when I go to the next screen, it'll flip on your device as well. The next question, again, this is an estimate. Approximately how many students do you anticipate will participate in at least one dual credit manufacturing course, not this year, next year, once you've got some courses in place? Wow. Right. I know you're all of many different sizes. Yes, Leslie. Yes, it's not fair to some of the smaller schools. It's not a race, but we're just trying to get a sense of how many students will have. And I think it's been mentioned, obviously, but I'll reiterate, which is that when students take these courses, make sure they're registered at the college and they're getting that college credit. So from from an accountability standpoint, it's only when they're registered with the college and the data comes back to us that they count towards accountability. So just wanted to make that point as well. All right, so the last question I have for today is really around how do you get kids interested in this? So this is nice to see that there's a lot of different, that a good volume of students are being potentially being served next year. So that's great. And that, many schools are going to have 4 to 5 courses available at the high school. So that's great. So the question that I have is, I think maybe it was Paul or somebody else who spoke about making it attractive, making it glitzy. So what are your thoughts on how do you get more students interested to participate in manufacturing? And again, please feel free to raise your hand and share your thoughts. All right, Paul?
I think, some of the biggest things we also were in a car up at the Electrathon. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. So we build and race cars up on Lime Rock a couple times a year. So they get to see, and it's more of a fabrication and strict manufacturing where a lot of the concepts overlay each other. And that's not articulated in a dual credit anywhere, but I think that product really drags a lot of kids in because they see a finished final product and we're actually go racing twice a year. And that plays a major factor, even in retaining like our local 8th graders to not maybe go to a tech ed, to go to Emmett O'Brien or Platt Tech. They love that idea of coming here and going to the races. So that, along with the kids that are currently here taking the field trips down the Housatonic, for the last couple of years, they've been running different seminars down there, and we're bringing the kids down there. And then just having the really good conversations, more importantly, with them, with our guidance counselors and even ourselves in class meetings that, not necessarily everybody has to go to a 4-year college. And there's different pathways to making a really good living in Connecticut without, pretty much being debt free. The average CNC machinist in Connecticut, I believe, makes about $82,000, second highest in the nation. And getting them to also understand more, especially in manufacturing, I believe it's about 46% of all manufacturers are 55 and older. Like you're going to get in and you're going to fly through just because the workforce, is moving up in age. So when kids start seeing that, and then us getting them to see those products, I think that creates the excitement in them wanting to be in it. And then, when you think of manufacturing, I remember as a kid thinking it's, the old dirty, dusty place. We start taking a lot of field trips since we got back from COVID, and the kids are seeing, you could eat off these floors in there. And they're seeing some of the other young people in there with a brand new vehicle and no college debt. And that brings all that excitement in them understanding that, there's not enough manufacturers in Connecticut. There are real viable jobs and you can make a ton of money doing it. And that for us has brought a lot of kids into our program. We're one of the ones as a small school, 600 kids, that we already have over 50 kids taking our dual enrollment courses, and that's only with 3 of them. And we look to expand that even further.
Great, thanks, Paul. And by the way, I have allowed mic and audio and video for everyone. So you should be able to, again, we still want to do raise hands just because of the number of people on this call. So Keith, and then Matthew, and then Leslie.
Thanks, Ajit. So I know that we've got a lot of work to do in sort of like raising awareness with respect to manufacturing, just helping kids understand that like this is a thing that we've got in the state of Connecticut, and we've got a ton of it. So one of the things that we sort of dreamed up this year, and we're going to be repeating it, every year thereafter, is in celebration of Manufacturing Month. We hosted last week a manufacturing pentathlon and expo. We wanted to kind of gamify things and make things exciting for young folks as it relates to manufacturing. So we essentially hosted students from 10 different area high schools. It was completely free to attend. All they had to do was just provide transportation, and kids were able to compete in 5 different events that all had manufacturing skills related. So a blueprint reading contest, a manufacturing math contest, a precision measurement contest, and then various different sort of like hands-on engineering design challenges. And then we coupled that with, there was a space where they could go and they could meet various different employers and manufacturers in the state, talking about careers and jobs and products that get created. And then also do, tours of the university facilities so that they could see what does it look like to be at a collegiate level program for this. And I think by and large, the feedback on that was generally very positive, and kids really feeling like, hey, I could actually see myself doing this going forward. And so I want to put that out there to the group. Like I said, it's something we're looking at repeating. And so we'll certainly be like putting that out and pushing that out to folks next year in October when we repeat the experience.
Awesome. Thanks for putting the link as well in the chat. Appreciate that. Matthew, and then Leslie.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. In terms of creating and getting kids excited and engaged in tech ed classes, especially ones in manufacturing and engineering, I think it's best to have a multi-pronged approach where certainly having a great relationship with your school counselors so that they're aware of what is actually happening in the programs, and so that they can advise kids and recommend students into the classes. I think it's having after school programs that students get excited about, and you have some of those cool projects. Somebody had mentioned the Electrothon. That's a great after school one. And we do a lot at Avon with really making our 8th grade population aware as well. They have a step up day where the 8th grade students are able to come in and see the classes. We have an open house night just for 8th grade parents so that they can come in and see and learn about the tech ed programs. And then I think too, things like this grant and having the courses articulated with colleges, our students get really excited about that. And some of the more savvy ones certainly recognize the fact that they're essentially getting free college credits. So it really needs to be a marketing approach as well. As tech ed teachers, we need to be constantly marketing our courses. And I think some of the best marketing we can do is through our students and kind of that grassroots way where we're having engaging, exciting courses that are project-based. They're tied with college credentials and credits, and they're going to talk up what's out there and what opportunities they can have while they're in one of our classes.
Well said on our students being the best marketers for others. So Leslie, you're muted, Leslie.
I was all ready to get it unmuted, then I forgot. I'm sorry about that. We're excited at our tiny little school with only 171 students this year. We are going to make that 10%. Dual credit, but we're focused on our manufacturing, our career tech courses, so manufacturing, culinary, and business. So that's where we're pushing the dual credit grant. So we appreciate that. We have taken time over the last year to build a school partnership with General Dynamics Electric Boat, and they have seized the opportunity. We started by just simply asking them, can you come and tell us what we need to do to make our curriculum such that when kids leave our school, they can get hired at EB or one of your 344 suppliers. And that has led us to renovating our welding lab and increasing the size from 2 welding booths to 6 or 8. And we're working on that right now. And what we've discovered is, to your question, Ajit, is if you build it, they will come, because now all of a sudden our parents and our students are saying, let me come to that welding shop, which, by the way, used to look like a 1950s welding shop, but now it looks very pretty and clean. You can eat off the floor. So our students are actually coming because of what we're building, and that is with AWS certifications coming along with that, and possibility of internships. So my point is, like, if you just start working on it, and the kids will come. And get your press releases out there. I'm on LinkedIn all the time telling our community what's happening in our school with our renovations, so, and kind of the other career tech programs as well. So it does make a difference if you communicate with not just your students, but everybody, and then take them on tours. We got parents, we got kids taking tours, we've got kids who are saying, hey, tell me more about that welding program now. And that's the one we're really focused on right now. Also, the culinary is another piece that we're using some of our, again, Perkins supplemental grant to set up a school-based enterprise. And the fact that our business kids and our culinary kids are going to be having a cafe inside the school. Again, we're building it. The kids are coming to the classes because they know they're going to get something out of it. So that would be my point. Build it and they will come. Thank you, Ajit.
No, thank you. Wow. I think we're up on time here. This has been a rich, robust back and forth among many of you. And I know that those who were quiet and not necessarily jumping in were absorbing every bit of it and had other thoughts. Perhaps if we go for another hour, maybe able to get into it. But I hope everyone got something out of this session. This is recorded. So once it's posted, you'll be able to go back and re-listen to it. There's a lot of good stuff in this chat, and we're also going to try to mine that. The Mentimeter thing we used is, we can generate PDFs from that of the slide. So we'll try to export that and send that on as well. So I think with that, I want to bring this meeting to a close so that we don't go longer than what we promised for you. But we'll keep the meeting running for a few more minutes. So if folks want to hang on and continue chatting or just raise a question and continue, that's okay. But officially, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining. And we will be in touch about the next community of practice. And as always, reach out to either Renee or I if you have any questions about the grant or anything else. So thank you so much for coming and have a great afternoon.